Oh, coming up next, we got an ad from a guy named Dirt Stevens. He's a local jack of all trades, just a local guy. You know, just a guy you see walking around, and he has official looking boots on. Like, he looks like he's like doing handiwork for like the president or something. Like, he's the best at whatever he's doing, which is everything. What happens to the world without people like that? People like me would be in charge, and we'd be like, it looks fine, it looks okay, we'll be fine. And then it won't be fun. As a result of my attitude, it will not be fun. So you need the guy who's just like at the hardware store, because, you know, we need hardware. Shout out to hardware of all kinds. I think all hardware is equal. You know, I don't think there's any Ace hardware. I don't think it's better than other hardware by virtue of the fact that it's called Ace. I don't like it when they do that in branding. They're like, introducing best chocolate. It's the best chocolate. This isn't a real thing. It's an example I'm coming up with. But it's that kind of thing. It's like, well, why don't you try to prove it first? Why don't you call it dog shit? And then get me to like it. Then I'll be impressed with your advertising. This is basically a cheat code. This is like what Domino's did, and they were like, hey, remember when our pizza sucked ass? We're still Domino's, and we're still the same people making it, but it's better now. By the way, sorry we didn't tell you it sucked that whole time. We were just as confused as you. We found out, we're like, hey, wait a minute. We're sorry we got confused. We thought we were making pizza, but it was actually just a circle of dead dreams. Well, those days are behind us now. It's not up to me to decide like how you interpret what I said. You should think of words as like actual vapor. So does that mean words are meaningless? No, not really. But it means that every moment is starting fresh, so whatever came 2 seconds, it's already over. By the time you know it happened, it's over. The universe has moved on. And you're like 500 milliseconds. You're 500 milliseconds in the past, standing there like a dumbass. Like, huh? Sorry, my nervous system isn't fast enough. My refresh rate isn't good. I'm still catching up. It's hard to be a human. You know, in addition to refresh rates, the thing that I wish human beings had in common with computers was the DGOS button. The human equivalent of that. It seems like if you got human DGOSed, you would feel like just really good for the rest of the afternoon. Like, you'd be set for the rest of the day. You're like, I just got DGOSed earlier, so I'm so chill, I'm so relaxed. I'm not going to get mad at the other computer monitors. Computers don't have feelings, I have feelings. That's how I know I'm not a computer. That's like the litmus test. So you like, is there somebody in there? You wouldn't think there's somebody in there with a computer. I mean, you generally wouldn't think of computers as being conscious. Because you can describe the inner workings of a computer in terms of information processing, and you can describe the brain in terms of electrical activity and information processing. But the difference between those two is one of them has feelings and the other one doesn't. But the human experience obviously can't be described in purely quantitative terms. Not yet. And someone online posted that there's no reason to complain about AI taking over art other than greed or selfishness or something like that. The argument was that like people who don't want AI to be in art are worried about like unemployment and stuff like that. But what was totally missing from it was like what non-commercial value art has culturally, which obviously goes beyond just what the economic effect is of computers or people making art. Obviously there's more to it than that, because if that wasn't the case, then no one would ever make art just for the hell of it, even if they're not trying to make something good. So that points to that being something that human beings need. And so obviously it's just a fun, I mean, it can be a fun thing to do. I guess it's not always fun, but why would you give that up to a computer? It's kind of just solving a problem that doesn't exist. It's like you could make a computer play video games perfectly, but what you're just gonna watch the computer, watch the robot have fun for you? But this is the kind of weird thing that happens when you think of human beings as being like one-to-one mappable to a digital system. At the finest level of reality, humans aren't digital. We're, analog. At the subatomic level, because you don't even know where the fucking atoms are half the time. It's in a probability. What the fuck are you talking? That doesn't sound like anything that's... And here's the thing, it kind of isn't real. Or it is, depending on who you ask. It seemingly unknowable even in principle. You can ask the question philosophically, but there's no actual answer in quantum physics. If you're interested in physics, you could, I don't know, just like throw a ball around your house and learn a lot about it. What does this have to do with my computer having feelings? Because you could say the computer is quantum too. Everything's quantum. And everything's Ant-Man. Everything is just Paul Rudd in an ant suit. If you get, a strong enough microscope, you can see him in there. You're shooting Green Lantern? I've never seen those fucking movies. We got our standby here who knows exactly what I'm talking about. He knows all about this. It's our man Glass Johnson. He's a sentient living glass. He doesn't move. He doesn't speak. He looks like a normal glass. Hey, you want to talk about science? I don't know how that works, but that's what his agent told me. He said Glass Johnson is willing to work. He wants to do this. And I remember Glass Johnson. I've talked about Glass Johnson before. He's a legend in broadcasting. He used to be on Carson, a lot. You probably missed him. And once again, I've been over this, but you missed him because he was really clean and he didn't show up on camera. And, they said, let's dirty him up a little bit, And his agent said something about Glass Johnson is a Christian, so don't put dirt on him. What was some kind of weird sect of Christianity where you can't have dirt on you? Also, you're a Glass. You're not going to heaven, dude. I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. And when people found out, or when people, I guess, didn't find out about Glass Johnson, it really put him into a spiral. He started drinking straight vodka out of himself. Got himself back into shape in the 90s. He did a Rob Lowe and he's good to go. And he's sitting here just half filled with water. And I'm just, look at him, I'm just proud to see where he's come. In his old age, he's still really just trying. Nowadays, with HD cameras and all that, you can make out all the dirt on him. You can be like, why is there a dirty glass sitting there? And you're like, oh, that's Glass Johnson. Yeah, he's got a few bumps and scratches these days, but he's still holding liquid. If you ask him how he is, he says, well, still holding liquid. At least that's what his agent says. His agent says that he actually can speak in the astral realm, and that's how he's able to... Yeah, so his agent's a pretty interesting guy. His agent claims to communicate with him in dreams. I don't know, I don't really ask questions about anything that happens anymore. I'm like, that sounds good to me. Anything to get, a legend like Glass Johnson on here. I'm someone who sees Glass Johnson as half full. And the thing is, I've been told that when he is half full, he's very emotionally confused. Because, it's like, well, I'm half full, but I'm half empty, but I'm feeling both, you know what I mean? So I don't know what's real. So the fact that I have him half full right now is, I guess it's a little bit sad now that I say that, but I'll drink him in a minute. So coming up next, we got... It's a message from Planters Peanuts Easter Edition. It's Easter colored planters. It's Easter colored planter. Okay, they ran out of time. They should have proofread that. I don't even know what that was. I have no idea what they just communicated. I don't know what's happened to advertising these days, but they're not even trying at this point. Maybe that one was written by an AI. So I've recently been sick again. It was really fun. I was sick. I should be more specific when I say that, because if I say I'm sick, it's like, did he have brain cancer? No, I had a cold for one day, and my nose was runny. And it was unpleasant. It just made me feel bad. It made me feel bad about my life. I don't know what it is about getting sick now, but it just makes me really depressed. But I know it's just the sickness talk, so I just like when I feel better physically, I'll feel better mentally. But But I'm like, why do I exist? And then like 16 hours later, I'm like, I'm just like driving to work like I'm normal. And I feel normal. I mean, when something like that happens, I just sort of think like, well, I think all of my feelings and emotions are basically fake then. If they're just like at the whim of like germs, if my entire outlook on life is just changed by like a toddler sneezing on me, which is how I'm pretty sure that's how it happened, then nothing I think or feel is real, because it's all just a bunch of chemical reactions. So, and I had a whole day to think about that on the couch, so that was good. So it was a good time. I don't know what it, maybe like on a subconscious level, it's just the thought of like, oh, my body sucks and I suck now. Everything about me sucks because I got germs all up in me. I failed as a human being. I'm supposed to stay alive. It's like my one job. It's one of two jobs I have as a human being who came to be through the process of evolution by natural selection. And nature selected me. I got picked. It's like we're the winners of Evolution Olympics. So now what do we do? Well, now what? Then what? What are you doing with it? I'm making this. That's what I'm doing. A lot of creatures had to live and die with weird bodies for a really, really long time. All just for me to be here and tell you about Glass Johnson. And so it was definitely worth it. It was more than worth it. I guess we're about at that point where it would be appropriate, it would be prudent to introduce to you the host of Time Check. An honorable man with a normal amount of signatures in his email. He doesn't have like 5 different signatures, one that says the Time Man, one that says the Time Fucker, one that says Time King, and then you're like, okay, that makes sense on balance. And it's like, these are positions that do exist, they're real in the Department of Clocks. Of course, if you've been keeping up to date on the recent events, meaning this particular podcast, you would know that the Department of Clocks has been defunded. It's now been turned into the Department of Cobwebs, Spiderwebs, and Dust, which I believe is what Biden is going to be overseeing once he's no longer president. Is it mean to say that? He's just an old guy. It's not nice to say that. He's not bad because he's old. Well, I mean, he's a bad he is a bad president because he's old, but he's not a bad person because he's old. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Unelected. Like, I'm just gonna start a campaign that's like, just get this guy. I don't even care. I mean, I do care. Oh, yeah, I always forget that I care. That's why I never have this thought. I'm not allowed to think that he sucks. Because what if somebody much worse is like, hey, I'm available, I'll do it. And that turned out to be the case. It was the guy from last time, as it turns out. But look, I'm not here for the political takes. That's Slurp Von Lipstick's job. Sorry, no, he doesn't do that. He checks the time. I forgot. Everybody, please welcome Slurp Von Lipstick. Okay, yeah, that's right, me. Yeah, hey, the Time King has entered the building. That's right, I got 5 more time checks in me before I hit retirement and I'm out of the game. I'm going to be doing the Time Desk on CNN Daily. Quarter hour. I'm sitting there at a desk. I'm telling you what fucking time it is. It's that simple. We're bringing back cable TV news magic. Welcome back to 1995. You could check your phone. You could check your watch. But I'm a professional. So here's the thing. It's like in journalism, you need people to feel like they can't figure this shit out on their own. So we have to help them. And I feel the same way about time. Time can be confusing. Sometimes your clock's wrong. How can you know it's right? You need someone you trust. That's why I'm here. I went to school for this. I learned things like AM is the first M. The second one is PM. It took me years to learn that. So now that you're all ravenous, you're all built up, you just want to know what time it is so bad. I assume you're not looking at your phone. I assume you're not looking at a clock. I have people who say, I love your show, even though I work at a clock factory, and I said, hey, where do you work? And he told me, and I went there and I fucked up all the clocks, and all the clocks were wrong. So he had to watch me, and he got something out of it. So I make it personal for you, and I want it to, like, matter to you. If you want me to, like, ruin your life in some way to teach you how important my job is, it's a strange lesson. I'm not really sure what the lesson is. And you can tell me an upcoming appointment, some event you need to be at a particular time. If it falls within the time that I'm doing time check, I'll do a shout out to you and I'll make sure that you know. But you have to call me first to arrange it. We can do it right now. You can call me right now and just tell me my son Mid is getting bar mitzvahed. So something like that. Okay, looks like that hook has caught a fish. Hello, you're on with time.
Yeah, I need a reminder.
Okay, what time and what is the event that you need to be reminded of?
I'm going to my son's bar mitzvah in 3 minutes.
Okay. For this, I will stay on the line with you for the full 3 minutes, and I will be with you right until your son's bar mitzvah. Does this sound good?
No, that's really weird. I don't want that at all.
Okay, well, fine. That's kind of rude. Also, your accent is like a little bit racist.
I'm not Jewish.
Oh, okay. So your son just decided to be Jewish?
Yeah. What's wrong with that? Is something wrong with that?
No, I'm not. I'll tell you what, I'll set a reminder on my phone. I will text you in 3 minutes, because I want to keep this connection going. Like, it's important, I do this for the fans like you.
And I was actually just trying to set a timer on my phone, but I called his number accidentally.
Oh, okay. I get that a lot. I don't get that, but okay. I don't know how that's possible. But thanks for telling me. That kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit there. What was your name there?
Beans.
Okay, Beans. Okay, Beans hung up. Wow, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I went in a completely different direction than doing whatever that was. So the current time, I think this is a first. I don't think we have ever done this time on time check. I think this is the first time. I need to make sure I hit my mark here, and I'm just gonna wait. And I'm gonna fill the next 40 seconds. And I'll start with my life story. So I was born in a zoo, I was raised in a zoo, and I still live in a zoo. It's not that interesting. Then I started doing the time, and people took a liking to that, and you can't blame them in this day and age with all the confusion. And here's something really important I want to say. Okay, it's now 10:51. Wow, that was really bad timing. Something you'd think I would really have a knack for. What's the point of me if I have bad timing? And I'm the master of time. This is bad. This is bad for my image. This can't air. This can't go out. Sometimes, I really think I just never should have left the zoo. I was raised in a zoo because nobody wanted me to live in their house because I was covered in dirt. On purpose, like I just liked it. And my family kicked me out, so when I was like, I like to be dirty. I'm not like Class Johnson, I'll do. I'm very much of the earth, They call me salt of the earth. It's a phrase which I don't really know what does that mean. You'll never guess who said this shit. Fucking quote hog Jesus. He said it in the Sermon on the Mount. Part of a discourse on salt and light. What is he, a wizard? Anyway, this is still Slurp Von Lipstick. It's still just me. It's still me, the time guy. I've always been like this. So that's that. Okay, moving on. So next order of business. Look, I think I've done my time here, and I'm gonna be going ahead and walking up that stairway to out of here, not to heaven. I'm not gonna be dead. I'm just gonna leave. That's just for like our viewers who don't have object permanence. Like my presence is no longer known. Like that must mean I don't exist anymore. That's not the case. I live my own life. I'm not like a character. I'm not like SpongeBob SquarePants, where in the scenes where SpongeBob isn't there, he's dead. I mean, if you think about it, he's dead, because he's not a real guy. So if he's not on screen, he doesn't exist. But that's not my situation. Alright, well, I'll see you next week. Thanks for coming out. Wow, give it up for a masterclass in checking the time. What a waste of taxpayer money. That's right. That guy was working for the feds. Department of Clocks, you heard him. This is ridiculous. What is Biden doing? A lot of people thought those trillions of dollars missing after every annual audit was from the Pentagon, but it was actually from the Department of Clocks. They were just doing wacky shit with clocks. It was way overfunded. It was ridiculous. So that's just one of the reasons that I dislike Slurp-on lipstick. It's just part of an ongoing, like, beef. If you've ever had a nemesis, you know what it's like. On one level, it's like Mean Girls. On another level, it's like No Country for Old Men. Like, it's a lot of things. It's complex. And a lot of it is just through text, you know. It's difficult to suss out his intentions. Sometimes he just sends a picture of a sunset and he says, "I'm so fucking pissed at you." And sometimes at like 3 a.m. he'll just send me a picture of like a house in his neighborhood that's on fire, and he'll say, "Thinking of you." Like, what is that? How am I supposed to interpret this? But so there's like a window that's off to the side here. It's messed up. And all I did was I updated Windows. All I did, I did an innocent thing. I thought, what if the operating system was newer? What if I was protected against new developing threats out there in cyberspace? What if I just did my duty as like a diligent citizen of the internet and keep my stuff, you know, up to date? And what do I get for it? Bunch of flack. Every single program is like, "Hey, just chiming in here, I know there's a long line, but everything's fucking wrong. We need your help." I'm like, I'm getting to you one at a time. It's Tech Talk with a computer guy. He's been on the computer. Everyone's been on the computer. Your grandma's been on the computer. Your grandma fucking invented the computer. You wouldn't have this shit without Ada Lovelace. Without Ada Lovelace, you wouldn't have youthemannowdog.com. It would never have happened. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could have gotten it. I mean, it might have been a different person. It could have even been a man or a different woman. Does that diminish the magnitude of that contribution? To think, oh, it probably would have been done by somebody else later. I mean, you could say that about almost anything. What if Steve Jobs had died earlier? And a new Apple CEO would have taken, 40 years to come up with the idea of, let's make the phone much bigger. What if it was really big? There's not as many buttons now. You can't plug anything into it. It has no ports. It has one battery charge. After that, we have a sustainable, ethical, responsible recycling system. For the iOnce. Because you're only you once. By the way, this is brought to you by Apple in accordance with the fairness doctrine, which has been, I think, overturned. I don't think the fairness doctrine is a thing anymore, but I believe in it. I'm going to give the opposing point of view to that Apple advertisement by saying, one time I flushed an iPhone down the toilet and it went down perfectly. That must mean it's a piece of shit. And that's just one, opposing opinion you could have. What else did I do today? I came home and I just sat down for a little bit, and then I got back up and I walked over here and I did this. That's kind of the style that I'm going to write my autobiography in. I'm just going to be like, Chapter 1. I just started writing my autobiography. I'll just come back when something happens. Chapter 2. Oh shit, something happened. I just ran over a duck with my car. Fuck. Gross. Chapter 3. There's nothing really happening, I'm just still thinking about the duck thing. Chapter 4. The calm before the storm. And you gotta pay to hear the rest of it. Listen to this podcast and donate $75 every time you laugh. This is honor system. If you ever laugh, I need that money pronto. I don't know. I think there's a healthy way to have a relationship with money. I don't really think I'm like really an anti-capitalist. I'm also not an anti-socialist. There's a way it can work. I think there are just certain things you could just clear up right away, where you can leave capitalism at its base alone. You can just adopt something really simple, like it really just needs to be housing and it needs to be healthcare. I mean, those two things alone would get you so far. It's fucking unbelievable. If you could give that lift to the bottom, where people don't have to like be in survival mode all the time. But also when people are in survival mode, they're much more likely to give into fear instincts and align themselves politically based on fear. There's definitely, or maybe, I mean, there really isn't a way it can work. I mean, that's kind of the difficult truth of it. There really is no like perfect system, unfortunately. The only way to like make things better would be coming from like the psychological, cultural level. But then there's also a situation where the power structure that is kind of in place to try to like prevent that from happening is pretty much solidified. So I don't really know how you crack that. Like basically every individual person has to be like, I'm not afraid to be alive. I feel like I deserve to live with some set of human rights that are protected. I think if everybody actually did think of every other person as deserving those things, that it would only logically follow that they deserve human rights because they possess the same inner world as you. And that inner world isn't physically present, so it can only be communicated to you. If you view humans as some kind of commodity or like a statistic or a voter, then you have such a low resolution picture of what a person is. Even if you combine all those things, you still don't really have the essence of what a human is. You haven't even come close. So if that's the most important thing, if all of this stuff arises from something that you can't actually point to, I mean, you can't point to the physical body of a human being and using some physical part to prove why it should have human rights. So there's something we recognize about humans that gives them rights. So what is it? Well, presumably it's consciousness. And so if it's no actual thing, and yet it's the most important thing, then everything else must be less important than that. Things that are actually things aren't as important as the place out of which human morals are derived, which is nowhere and nothing. So wherever that comes from must be more important, more hierarchically significant than the material world that you interact with. Because you don't find meaning in the material world. You can find meaning through it, but it's a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. And that's not a new idea. Well, anyway, so that's it. That's the whole thing. I'm really sorry that my nose sounds like it does, and I'm making all kinds of weird... There's all kinds of like fluids in my head that shouldn't be there. I'm really sorry about it, and actually, I'm really not. I'm never gonna apologize for my fluids. I'm proud of them. Okay, well that's all I got for you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, dude.